it's really hard to integrate with a platform that stores your like patient value, right? In e-commerce and any other sectors like that, it's so easy to run ads, tie that to the purchase, and get a lifetime value. Super seamless. PMSs, naturally, the legacy ones, cloud-based ones, they make it really, really hard to integrate. And if you can't integrate, it constantly breaks. So what we find is it's really hard to track the value and get that ROI back unless you're doing it manually or you have a really dedicated team that's updating things.
Welcome to another episode of Dental Marketing Go. I'm your host, Gary Bird, and this show is all about tactical marketing things that are going on inside of the dental industry. And today I got a doozy for you because I got Jack. He is our director of marketing at SMC. I think Jack probably manages more aggregated data around dental than anybody else in the world. We collectively bring not just dental marketing, but we aggregate all that data and we look at it collectively. And I don't think anybody else is doing that, at least not at the scale that we are. If they're out there, I don't know of them. I would love to talk to them if they are out there. So he has some really, really unique insights, and we're going to cover several things. Number one, an update on local service ads. We're going to talk about CMOs, specifically fractional CMOs coming outside of dental, which is a trend that we're seeing increasing. And then also what's going on in the spring, going into summer, what kind of trends we're seeing and what you should be doing with your marketing. You're not going to want to miss this one. All right, Jack. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about that you shared with me really quickly that was very interesting is on the local service ad side. So I know everybody's like, got to get into local service ads, but nobody's really ever even seen a dental local service ad.
Yeah,
so exactly. Are you actually seeing somebody actually get traction with this now, even if just a little bit?
Yeah. So we got quite a few clients in this over the last month since we last talked about this. And we have the clients that we've had them turned up as high as we possibly could. And we're getting right now little to no traction. And so we talked to our Google rep and like, hey, what's going on? Right? We did everything right. Like where it's in there, it says it's running, but we're getting like, 2 to 3 calls over the last month. And basically what they told us, they're being very cryptic. So kind of what we're taking away from it is that they don't know what they're doing. Not when it comes to local service ads, when it comes to for dentistry. They're probably trying to approach it very slowly, very cautiously.
Sorry to disrupt the show, but I got something crazy to share with you. We are attempting to connect with all of our listeners. We have thousands of people that listen to this podcast, and we want to meet you in person. We have 4 events coming up, and I want to give you a discount code that you can use for the next week to save $300 off your ticket. The discount code is Gary Bird, and the link is going to be just down below. You can also go to smcnational.com/events. I hope to connect with you in person and help each other grow our businesses. Can't wait to see you soon.
Because it's just a different market.
Yeah.
And a different sector compared to what they're used to.
Well, also they're guaranteeing something that they don't fully understand what they're guaranteeing.
Exactly. So it makes sense that they're going really slow. So what they said is like, hey, if in your market, you're the only one, you won't show up on web search. You may show up on mobile search. It's not until there's at least 2 people in your market. And what they define as your market, they didn't really say, is that my zip code? Is that my address, my city,
my state? Yeah.
Exactly. So they're really slow playing it there. And then secondly, what we found, and it'll be curious to see how they fix this, is you actually don't have control. That you get how the model is, you get charged per call. All right. It's not per click, per impression, any of that. If you get a connected phone call, not a disconnected one, like it actually is a connected conversation, you get charged for that. But you don't have the ability to block out certain insurances. Now, you can select a list of insurances that you accept, right? But you can't, and it's an exhaustive list, but you can't block out. So we had an office that they're in California. They got a call. It was Medi-Cal. Now, luckily for that office, they accepted it. But most offices, they don't take it. So that would be a lead. You're paying now $100, $150 for it just for that phone call. Yeah. And it's not even a lead to you.
Yeah. And
so there's
not only that, but
it
might be cheaper to get Medicaid leads other ways, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be cheaper to get those Medi-Cal leads through other sources. So now Google has this like premium source so you can get these leads. So these are some of the nuances that Google's going to have to figure out that they don't understand about dental. This just goes back to why it's so important you understand dental before you jump into something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super important. And now we're still doing our due diligence and getting our clients in it, because let's say it's not working, but eventually they're going to figure it out. And either they'll get it rolling, they'll give you some more customization options, more manual options, and you'll be able to block certain phrases out, and do things to where you can say, hey, this call shouldn't count. I can't accept that. Right? It's not an actual lead because I can't even schedule that person. But there's a lot of nuances from now until then that they'll have to work out, or else I can hear a lot of angry doctors reaching out to us, reaching out to Google, asking for refunds, because they did put something in there that like, hey, if that's not actually a lead, you can reach out to us and get a refund on the specific phone call. So I'm sure they're slow playing it because they don't want to get to that point.
Yeah. Speaking of angry doctors and horror stories, I want to talk about something that we've been seeing a rise of, is that we're starting to see a lot of fractional CMOs coming into dental who have no dental experience. And I just did a podcast non-related to marketing. We actually were talking about people hiring a DSO hired the CEO of Hooters, and they moved over into, from selling chicken wings to selling dentistry. And he was just explaining like the nightmare that they had to go through to help make that transition.
Yeah.
And on a smaller level, we're seeing the same thing with CMOs that are coming in. Could you tell me a little bit about what you've?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you get a client that's hyper focused on growth, right? Which is awesome. And so to them, they're like, hey, I got my marketing agency, right? I got my internal systems. I'm going to now, on top of this, I'm going to throw in a fractional CMO, right? He's just going to come in here. He's not going to, he's just going to help guide me to make sure I'm doing everything from an outsider's perspective, right? Third party, not invested, just kind of help me take it to the next level. And so they'll go hire someone that doesn't have experience in dental. And there's two problems that come with that. First of all, with any fractional CMO, they're coming in and they're trying to show value right away. And a lot of times what I've seen in the experience of the fractional CMOs we've worked with is they have a lot of digital experience, but they have none in the dental space. So they're coming in and they're talking to their marketing agency, trying to blow it up, right? Because they just know best practices that work from a digital standpoint, but in other sectors and other industries. And so what that happens is causes a lot of friction, right? Because now you have a doctor that has a marketing agency he likes, but he also has this fractional CMO, and he doesn't want to look like he's making a bad decision. So he's trying to make them work. And it's just really hard. It's like, trying to blend oil and water. It's just really hard.
Yeah. So let's talk through like what's different about dental than other marketing industries? What are some of the things that you see that like, oh yeah, marketing standard, you should do this, but it doesn't really work in dental?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing when it comes to like GP and pedo marketing, the biggest thing is that in comparison to other sectors, it's probably two things, right? First things first is it's really hard to integrate with a platform that stores your like patient value, right? In e-commerce and any other sectors like that, it's so easy to run ads, tie that to the purchase, and get a lifetime value. Super seamless, right? But in dental, in order to do that, you either have to have like a CRM that you're manually updating, but then you also keep in mind you have to manage that on top of your PMS, right? And the PMS always gets updated first because that's what the doctors work off of, right? So if that's not updated, they're going to come and their schedule is going to be falling apart and they're going to get really mad. So that always comes first. So the CRM, if you're using it, is always second fiddle. But secondly, if you want to integrate with the PMS, it's really hard, right? PMSs naturally, the legacy ones, cloud-based ones, they make it really, really hard to integrate. And if you can't integrate, it constantly breaks. And so getting that value back to your advertising, your marketing.
Because all these people come into dental and they're like, yeah, we're just going to build our own.
Yes.
And it's like,
exactly.
Oh, okay.
And it's a nightmare. Yeah. It's really
we should
hard.
have it up. We should have it up in the next 3 months and we'll be able to track everything. And it's like, no, bro.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You can do it for a month, right? You can get, your team on board. You're tracking stuff manually for a month and then it fizzles out because now they still have to go update that PMS, right? And then it's like, oh, I'm doing double work here. If I need information about a patient, I'm going to go to the PMS, but that doesn't integrate with anything. So what we find is it's really hard to track the value and get that ROI back unless you're doing it manually or you have a really dedicated team that's updating things. And then secondarily, the biggest thing, it kind of falls in the same thing. It's really hard to track. And one of the reasons being is in most types of marketing in different sectors, you can get a landing page going, right? You can drive traffic to it, and everyone's pretty much going to convert there, right? You can kind of control that flow. But because dentistry is so local focused still, and it's still a form of healthcare, patients very much care about that doctor-patient relationship, right? So you can do marketing straight to a landing page, get some leads, but a lot of those patients are going to hop back to Google after learning about your practice, and they want to read your reviews, right? And so that throws a wrench where like half of your traffic, even if it's all ads, right? You don't have any search, organic presence. Half of your traffic is going to end up on like your Google My Business or like a Yelp page calling you. And it's like, I'm not doing Yelp ads. I don't even have a Yelp presence.
So most CMOs don't deal in local, right? Most CMOs are going to deal with like a national brand or some, like you said, some kind of product that they're selling on e-commerce.
Yep.
And the problem with that is that they don't realize the game that Google plays between ads and SEO. And so they're like, well, no, that's SEO. And it's like, well, no, because Google Ads feeds into local SEO and local SEO feeds into Google Ads. Well, I want those separated completely. That's like saying I want to separate my heart from my body and still live. It doesn't work that way. When we've measured this every which way. When you spend more on ads, guess what goes up? Your SEO leads. And then when you cut back your marketing budget, guess what drops? Your SEO leads. There's a dance that happens between those. And if you say no, remove one, and I still want the other, it just doesn't work. Like, can you be successful and run SEO? Yeah, sure, but now you're at the whims of Google changing their algorithm and you losing all your new patients overnight. So it's getting those things to work together. I think that's really, really important. Another one I wanted to talk about is just what's happening in March. So I know right now we're in the middle of March when we're filming this. People will probably watch this in April, and this will still be true. We're noticing that there's a big increase in search right now for dentistry. And so right now would be a good time to increase budgets, because a lot of people are coming off that winter lull where everything kind of slows down. January, there's a spike, but then it kind of slows down. So before school starts, between now and before school ends, I should say, now's the time to really capitalize and fill up your schedules going into summer. Are you on the same page with that, or how are you seeing that?
100%. Yeah, we typically see some markets, the big jump happens January, February, but a lot of markets where they actually have harsh winters, that's kind of delayed until March, April, where the weather starts to change. And we see a big influx in a lot of markets in March, April. And that's due to a couple things, right? Weather changing. It's also tax return season, right? So people are having a little more cash in their pockets that they weren't exactly planning for. And so they have that discretionary income. And then also it's graduation season coming up. So people are either going to graduate themselves, have a child or family member that's graduating, or friends, and they're going to be traveling. That means lots of pictures, right? And so it's a prime time over March, April, beginning of May to get your oral health taken care of. So that's why we see search traffic. So we recommend to a lot of our practices, if they're having light schedules or they want to bump a new patients, now is as good a time ever to add budget, because your cost per lead and cost per acquisition is going to be lower than other times of the year.
Awesome. Well, this has been really, really good. I love these talks. We'll keep diving into it, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and what's going on in the market.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks so much.